We are live here with
Yeah.
Bertrand Newson to talk about the Windemere Marathon and live racing during the pandemic.
What?
What?
Wait, what happened there? What happened?
That's what we're going to get into. That's what we're
All
going to get
right.
into. And this being our first streaming episode, our first live stream, actually, first real post that we're doing on YouTube. This is a good opportunity for us to, I guess, reintroduce ourselves a little bit to the audience. Um, Give us a quick couple of minutes. Who are you, Bertrand? Why were you racing in the Windermere Marathon? Yeah, what's your background? Why are we chatting
That,
today?
yeah, that's good stuff. Good stuff. Coach B here, Too Legit Fitness Race Mob. Here with my good buddy, KC, the man. You are all in for a treat with the next podcast episode that is launching.
That's
Yes,
right.
Kevin is the
Oh my
feature,
gosh, yeah.
everybody. Yes, the
That's me.
story behind the story,
That's me all day.
behind the scenes, the ESPN 30 for 30, all that good stuff. Not Dateline style. There's no mystery Dateline stuff. This is all fantastic, inspiring from his parents, sister, and his own journey. It is compelling, and I couldn't be co-hosting with a better human being. So, turning the tables on you.
Thank
Yes,
you.
I just did that,
Yeah,
and happy to be here today. Happy Tuesday. I hope everybody had a great Labor Day
that's
weekend.
right.
Got out and if depending on where you live, if the weather was nice. I know some of us are living in
Dude, it's
Northern
hot here.
California.
I'm not
Hot,
gonna
hot as
lie. It was
hell,
like 110 here yesterday.
burning
So,
up,
oh
burning
man,
up.
it was
So.
crazy. It was crazy. Well, let's get into the marathon. So, I mean, what possessed you to say, I'm gonna fly to Spokane, Washington? We were just here, what, like a week or two ago. You were gonna go to Idaho originally, and then it's like, I just got to get out of here into a actual marathon. So, I mean, you bought your tickets pretty late. We got you there. You got yourself there. Saturday, came back Sunday. So what possessed you to say, yeah, let me do a marathon?
That's a very good question. I'm a runner at heart, and like every blue collar runner, we all had races on our calendar for 2020. And the reality of our world is that because of the pandemic, a lot of those races have either been postponed or canceled altogether. And I am aware, because of our rapport with other race directors and fitness entities, that there are races that are being produced, a lot of are virtual, but there are some live events that are being produced um, from a social distancing perspective with safety protocols that have been approved by local municipalities, which was very important to me. Um, and when I came across Negative Split and the Windermere 2020 Marathon, I did my homework. I wasn't just looking to run because I could do that in my backyard. I mean, I could have run that distance, 26.2, much closer to home.
I don't know how.
Um, but I chose for several reasons. One, I have family that lives up there. My niece is a sophomore at Gonzaga University. Go Zags, go Bulldogs. So the ability to just hang out with her was fantastic. And then when I initially, that race got on my radar, I reached out to the race director and said, "Hey, with Race Mob slash Too Legit Fitness would welcome the opportunity to get up there and actually cover your event and share it with our listeners. It'd be a good promo piece for you, the race organizer. It'd be a good destination experience for me to get up there." And to Ryan's credit, the race director or CEO, Chief Endurance Officer, which is his
Mm.
official title. Um, yeah, man, hey, come on up. So, thank you for the race registration and all the other extras. You guys
That's
really
cool.
rolled out the red carpet for Too Legit Fitness slash Race Mob. The back to your original question, why that event? One, when doing the homework, they're an experienced race producer. They've been in business for a long time. They recently produced an event in the state of Idaho, again with all of the pandemic protocols in place, approved by state and local officials. That I was able to see real time testimonials from race participants, able to read up in advance to see staggered start over multiple days, And in the case of the Windemere Marathon, this event was spread out over 3 days. Three
Wow,
days,
3 days.
3 days, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, 5th, 6th, and 7th. And the runners are assigned a starting time with a five runner max per 5 minute slot. So
Wow.
hypothetically, that event on Sunday that I ran started at 6 a.m. Since I was an out of town participant, I was assigned a 6:20 start time. There, I was there early, got a chance to see wave number one go off, which was four runners. And then um, the five runner cap wasn't completely filled. So they let me start a little bit early, which was great because we knew it was going to be a warm day. So the sooner you start, the sooner you finish in most cases. So I was happy to get started. And at no point, like other traditional road races, there's a bit of a cluster effect in the starting corrals. None of that. On the race course, none of that. So I had, I mean, for long stretches, there was probably 75 feet to 100, 200 feet separating me and other runners. And at some points on the second half of the event, there were long stretches where I wasn't chasing anybody or vice versa. Of course, when they're on the out and back course, you're going to have runners coming the opposite direction, but the trails were wide enough where there was ample spacing. And the race organizers did a fantastic job. And the runners themselves, I mean, at the start, I had, face covering. Some runners didn't because, again, outdoors, ample space. Some people chose not to, but I did. And the aid stations, timely, spaced out, and self-service, and the volunteers that were there, gloved up, face covering, great cheer, energy, and support. But overall, I chose that event because of the time of year. I felt that I was trained up, and that more importantly, the race organizers knew what they were doing. They had experience, and that they had been signed off by state and local officials, which was very important. You do, and you may have some other events that are going on under the radar, that aren't as official, that aren't as above board, and that's not the case with Negative Split. I mean, they're on top of their job, and they were on it. So, and I'm glad I did. I had a fantastic experience. We can talk more about that as you have questions. If any of the listeners, want to chime in and throw any questions out there for Kevin and I'm happy to answer. So,
Yeah. So, I mean, over 3 days, and there were a couple of different events, right? There's like the 5K. Was there a 10K or a half marathon?
5K, half marathon, and marathon. So three events. The marathon only took place on Sunday.
Wow.
So
Okay.
they offered the half and the 5K on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, but the marathon was only offered on Sunday, I believe. So,
Got it. Got it. Got it. And then, I mean, basically 5 runners every 5 minutes. And I think I saw like 1,200 runners at the event. Is that right?
Yes. Yes.
So I mean, those poor race directors were there like from morning to like evening every single day. Like,
Yeah. I
is
mean,
that
this is so on Sunday, as I got to probably mile 15 or so, I think there were probably people who were just starting, in the 10 a.m. hour, 10:30 hour, and God bless them. I mean, hats off to them. Those are some tough sons of guns out there running in a little humid, but it was just warming up. And I already started to kind of feel the heat a bit. But to the race director's credit, I mean, it was all about safety first and being able to adhere to staggered starts and not having groups of people cluster and run together, was very important. So that I'm sure they had an obligation to ensure those standards were enforced, and by all means they were. So
man, man, that's crazy. So what was packet pickup like? Did you do it Sunday morning? Did you go in on Saturday? Were you able to?
yeah, let's see. Let's talk about from California to
Yeah,
Washington and
yeah,
back.
yes,
So
please. What was the itinerary?
let's see. Packed my gear very, very late on Friday. Everybody, I don't
When did
recommend
you
you
book your
doing
ticket?
that.
You booked your ticket like
Yeah, I mean, the trip came together relatively quick once I
Yeah.
got the thumbs up from the race organizers that they
Mhm.
would allow the unique relationship that we had with the race. It wasn't that I was just signing up and going to run like any other runner. I had an obligation to uh, share the journey, meaning from packet pickup, which I flew out of San Jose Airport on Saturday morning at 6:30 a.m.
Wow. Wow.
Had a layover in Portland for about 45 minutes, and eventually got to Spokane 10:30 a.m. Uh, Spent some time at the airport. Elected to rent a car because I knew I would be traveling in the greater Spokane area, getting some content and footage of the surrounding area. The expo closed down at 2 o'clock,
Oh,
2 p.m. So I knew
okay.
that the
On
clock was kind
Saturday.
of ticking in the background.
Okay.
And my hotel, which was in Spokane Valley, which is about a 25-minute drive from airport to hotel. And the great thing that I didn't know until I actually got to the packet pickup is my hotel directly across the street.
Nice.
The
That's always the
closest
best.
I've never in 54 marathons I have never ever crossed the finish line and been able to get to my hotel room within 3 minutes. It was freaking fantastic. Best ever. Um, but back to the packet pickup, I was in a commercial corporate parking lot, and it wasn't too crowded because I mean I was one of the last people to get there, and they had everything. They had shirt. Okay, got that
Mm-hmm.
swag right there.
Mm-hmm. Love that
Fantastic.
swag. That's awesome.
Fantastic. I have one for you as well.
Oh man, thank you.
And you get your medal and bib that has a time into, but you get your medal at the time of packet pickup. So
Makes sense. Yeah.
that all things considered,
Yeah.
pandemic, you want to minimize um, you know uh, direct
Person to person.
contact or touch points is what they call them. Minimize the touch points. So by you getting your complete packet the day before, it just makes for an easier, less cumbersome um, race day experience. So, yeah,
Awesome. So you got your packet on Saturday. I mean, your niece is up there, so you got to
yeah.
hang
Let's
out.
see here. Going back to airport, picked up the rental car, a nice 2002 Toyota Tundra truck, nice.
Ooh.
5,600 miles on it. So turned up the music,
Yeah.
feeling good, bopping the head, getting in the zone, getting in the zone. Picked up my niece at her dorm, and let's see, we went to Spokane Valley. So we went from the city of Spokane, where the University of Gonzaga is, and drove 20 minutes or so to Spokane Valley, picked up the race packet. I thought about checking into the hotel, but I was hungry, and no one knows where to eat better than a college student. So my niece Jasmine was on it. We went back to downtown Spokane, and we came across this breakfast joint that had the largest, I swear. See this book here, everybody? The French toast and the cinnamon rolls were bigger than this, bigger than this. And
Man,
yeah, and I knew
you sent a bunch of pictures over. You didn't send a picture of the cinnamon rolls yet,
Oh,
so
well, okay. All right.
that's
We'll,
okay.
we'll
That's
get that
okay.
out to the readers. We'll get that out to the readers. And I knew that, it was still early enough, so the body had enough time to digest all these tasty carbs that I was just going to destroy. And that I did. I destroyed the French toast. I destroyed the cinnamon roll and the kettle chips, the fresh baked kettle chips. So super tasty and savory. So a little bit of savory sweet. Good eats. Good eats. And from there, we went to the Gonzaga campus and took some footage. A local riverfront trail took some footage, and then eventually met up with my niece's boyfriend,
Mhm.
Cooper, who's a local and also a sophomore at Gonzaga. And we went and had dinner. And we went to Old Spaghetti Factory, time tested staple for, if you're looking for some good quality pasta, and ate well and early enough, probably ate around 6:30, 7 o'clock. And then eventually said goodnight for the evening, went back to the hotel, and then started to checked in, and then laid out my gear in preparation for race day the following morning. So
What was the weather like on race day?
it was, let's see, mid 60s
Oh,
at the
nice.
start.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Okay.
that was fine. And I think when I crossed, it was probably low 80s.
Ooh.
So not as hot as it was here in the San Jose area. Because I remember flying in, I got in at 6:30, and first it was super hazy because of all the smoke. And then as soon as I got out the terminal back here in the 408 in San Jose, I was like, man, it is hot as heck. And I didn't have to deal with that warm of temperatures back in Spokane Valley. So, and I don't mind the heat. I don't mind the heat. If I had a choice, would I prefer to run in the cold or the heat? I mean, I'm just putting one foot in front of the other. You have to have an open mind because you cannot control the weather. You have a sense on what the weather's going to be like, and then mentally you just have to adjust. If you can adjust from your gear, um, you know, and how much you hydrate and things along those lines. But ultimately, sometimes the heat is going to affect your effort, and maybe it costs me a minute or two, but that's fine. I was just going more for the experience, and the course there along the Spokane River was fantastic.
Hmm.
The last 5+ miles was a nice steady climb into the sun, but that's what I signed up for. So I still enjoyed every step. And each time a runner would come past me going the opposite direction, as they were kind of cascading on the downhill and me climbing up, I'm like, oh, you just wait. You got to come back up. It feels real good right now. But I'm giving them like, hey, you got this, looking good. And they were giving me the love right back, which was fantastic. I mean, the camaraderie on race day, because we all felt very fortunate. I think it was almost unspoken, but we all look, you know what? There are a lot of people that wish they could feel as comfortable just to be out doing something that they enjoy, that they love, that's been taken away, something that is healthy. And we felt, are we putting ourselves at risk? But all those thoughts were being able to take in just a huge breath of fresh air in the midst of Mother Nature, with the river roaring on one side and lush green trees and vast rigid mountains, and just say, man, I'm just so fortunate, and looking forward to when more of us can get back out there and do what we love, and with the camaraderie. I mean, it's one thing to get out there and do virtual events. I've done my share. I'm in the midst of the Big Sur Surreal Challenge right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but there's something about towing the line on race day. There's something about, when you have that timing chip on the bib, and you're moving forward with a purpose, and you see other people out there in the same boat just trying to do their best, and where all that training is going to pay off. Or when you have those moments of adversity, which happens. I mean, I had a bathroom break at mile 8, um, and that those things happen. That's reality. But back out on the course, and enjoyed every single step. And as I shared with some friends, the following day when I got back home, with at that distance, you have to break it down into segments. Some people break it into a first half and a second half. That's generally, my approach was, I wanted to have either even splits or negative splits. Unfortunately, I was able to run the second half of the race 5 minutes faster than the
Wow.
first half.
Wow.
So, even with the hills
Even
and
with the
running into the
heat and
sun, yeah, yeah.
everything. Oh
So,
man.
it was a race my wristband, or that orange is some superpowers in that race my wristband.
I think
So
so.
got
There
one.
might
Yep,
be. There might
yep,
be.
yep.
I've got some
Um,
video of you out on the course. Let me see. Let me see if we can make this work with the live stream. I don't know if you can see this, but and I might have to trim it from earlier.
yeah, and
But
shout out to my niece and Cooper for the core support, and Cooper's family, who drove 45 minutes to watch me run the second half of the race. Every 2 to 3 miles on the second half of the course, that family took my niece around on the course, and they cheered for me, man. I mean, I couldn't have asked for a better race experience. I mean, you talk about motivation. I had that in droves. All right,
that's awesome.
video.
Yeah, it's going. Yeah, I'm playing it now. Hold on. All right. Well, I'm not sure if that worked, but this is all
We'll
about
find
us
out.
testing.
Yeah,
Yeah, all
yeah.
about us testing some of this stuff out,
Episode live
seeing
stream number one.
seeing what
Things
works.
happen. Yeah.
Yeah, seeing what doesn't work. Um, seeing, and then we've got a bunch of pictures as well from you at the race. Lot of amazing
Oh, that,
things
let me. I'd
from
have to get you the photo of the cinnamon roll, man.
the cinnamon roll.
That's what people want to see,
I
right?
know,
That's what people really want to see.
I know. There's some really cool.
Just eat early enough the day before everybody. Give your body time to work. I'll just kind of leave it at that. Um, and my go-to race morning meal is Tony Julian's high performance protein oatmeal.
Oh,
Um, Fantastic. Probably my last 10 to 15 marathons for the most part. That's been my primary go to carbs of choice, and it's always served me very well. Easy on the stomach and nice, even, sustained energy. Tony's oatmeal.
not yet sponsoring, but
Not yet.
hopefully,
Not yet. I did
hopefully
give her a
soon.
heads up, though. I was going to give her a shout out, though. All right, Kev, I just sent you that photo via
Love it.
text. So,
Love it. Well, then it will show up because I'm just going through my text real quick, showing some of those. Oh, look at that cinnamon roll. Oh,
right. And that's
man.
a large to go container. And that puppy is edge to edge. It is that big. I mean, if I have a Mini Cooper, it's my commuter car. I think if I had a flat tire, that cinnamon roll is big enough to actually serve as a tire. It's huge, ginormous,
Wow.
and super tasty. So,
We're
you know,
gonna have to. Yes, that is a picture that we'll have to plaster on some marketing in the future
yes.
because that is a beautiful picture. I love that picture.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's a good one. I thought you would. Thought you would. I thought I sent it to you. I said, man, He didn't respond on that on the cinnamon roll because we're both foodies.
You know it. You
Yeah. I was
know it.
like, wow. All right. I guess. So here we
Well,
go.
I mean, how since you were lining up basically five at a time at the starting line, instead of hundreds at the starting line, were you able to talk to anybody? What was the? Yeah.
No, I had this sense that my fellow participants just wanted to get this party started. I think we had all been in like a racehorse in the stable, just waiting for a race day to happen, and we probably all had our varying levels of degree of nervous energy, and knowing that as the race progressed, that it was going to get warmer. But there was not a lot of banter at the start. There were a couple of people that passed me within the first 10K that said, "Hey, good job," and they, with the shirt I was wearing, there's a saying on the back of it, and a lot of people I felt were inspired by those words. Decide, commit, succeed, and be about it. So there were, I did get some, hey, good job, love the shirt, look great shirt, um, which is cool,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is cool. So, um, yeah, but not a lot of sidebar conversation. There was at mile 8. I was at that aid station for a while, getting hydrated and tending to the porta potty business. Taught a bit with some of the race volunteers as I was heading back out on the course, and just saying, hey, thank you. We really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule, especially considering all that's going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think they were just happy to pay it forward and supporting the runners and supporting the race organizers. It's a proud community. That event has been there for, I think, 10, 11 years,
Wow.
much larger in scale in the past. I mean, if you look at on
Yeah, that's what I was gonna
YouTube,
ask. Like,
yeah,
what is their normal participant
oh,
numbers?
I'm
Any
sure
any close?
it would be a guess,
Yeah. Yeah.
but in looking at the 2018 coverage and 2019 coverage with some of the drone start footage, I mean, huge,
Mm.
deep corrals, big finishing area, big party with multiple canopies and vendors out there, and like a kind of a festival, so to speak. None of that, none of that, and it didn't take away. I mean, for being a first timer, it's about. I mean, the course speaks for itself. The course can holds its own without all that other extra, the metal being put around your neck after crossing the finish line on a marathon is something that's pretty special. Did I miss that? I had my niece there. My niece, you know, um, calling my name, see how proud she was. Um, that was enough for me. That's all I needed. It was just validation that, and there was no point during the race from like, what, why do I choose to do this for the 55th time? Because I love
55,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, because I love it.
Yeah.
I like the challenge. I like the adversity that distance brings out, and the ability to be resilient and have the mental fortitude just to push on. And if you feel cramps coming on, you're starting to feel a little hungry or dehydrated, you can make decisions to address those issues and keep moving on. And the parallels, like we've talked about in life, where we are living through adversity right now. And do you just pull off and get out of the race and just quit? Say, I'm done with this? No, you take a deep breath, you reset mentally, and you keep pressing on. And I saw some people who were running the marathon that there were a handful that could have been their very first time out,
Wow.
and
Yeah.
you can sense the nervousness, you can see the apprehension, especially at the 10K mark. Some of those people are almost in uncharted territory. So that was me at one point.
Yep.
um,
Yep.
and knowing, as the newbies, as they went past like mile 13, 14, where the start finish
Ooh.
area is, like, what, man, I really
I would be
could
nervous.
just
I'm
I could
nervous just thinking
just
about
I could
that.
just step out of this race right now. And then to see some people, just the grit and the fight, with each step as the race wore on. It's just amazing. I love that part of the running community and that distance. That there's so many wonderful stories that we don't know why that person is out there.
Yeah.
Maybe they're running for somebody who was no longer with us. Maybe they lost a parent, a grandparent, an educator that was very profound to them at some point. Everyone has their own story. Um, and knowing that, there's just the level of support, and those people that are, when they're really kind of, and may have hit the wall, but are still pushing through. I saw some of that on Sunday, and again, it just reminded me on how much I miss live racing, because you don't get that in virtual events. And there have been some really cool virtual events that are happening and that we've been a part of.
Yeah.
And I think the virtual world is making improvements that we are all going to appreciate in the future. I think virtual events are going to be here to stay. And the cool thing is, the Windemere event had a virtual event happening concurrently. So people, you can probably still sign up, Kevin, and knock out that half
I still
marathon or
I still got
marathon.
to
No
do the big
pressure.
surreal stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
this month, but
Right. Yeah. You
but
have
yeah,
time.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Today's
That's
only the
true.
8th.
That's true.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah, there were some really, think some cool things that I was reminded over
Yeah.
the weekend that I missed with live racing. But again, we have to be mindful of that. We're still in the midst of a pandemic, that there are some cities and some states where it would be socially irresponsible to have races when you have spiking numbers, and when the local and state officials haven't deemed it safe. In this case, it was deemed safe. And the race organizers had produced socially responsible um, events with success. And um, it's real hard for race organizers right now. And I still think that live events are going to be a rarity moving forward to the balance of 2020 into the first quarter of 2021. I think it's going to be the exception, and not the rule. but staggered starts, smaller field sizes. If you're not feeling well, then don't run. Don't
Yeah.
come out.
Yeah.
Don't. That's they said that. Temperature check, boom. So, yep.
Yeah. What I really enjoyed, I guess, was obviously since you were running, I was following right along on Instagram, on the social platforms, and there's the Windemere Marathon hashtag, and people do post some of their stories. So even if you couldn't get some of the stories from when you were there, I think there's just so many stories that I was able to follow of people's first marathons, of
Oh, good.
of loved
Yep.
ones, helping them along the path, and we were able to just reach out and hear people's stories and connect with them and get into that comment section, and there is just this shared connection because we're all struggling through some of
Yeah.
these physical
Yeah.
events,
Yeah.
activities, and it can be a real cathartic, it could be a real amazing experience. So I was happy to be able to kind of live it from the sideline as you
Good.
were, even if I
Good.
couldn't fly up there and be on the sideline with you. It was
You were
just a
there in
joy
spirit,
to,
man.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's just a
You were.
joy to be part of a live race again, somewhere out there. So it was exciting. I think it was fun. I'm glad you were able to do it.
Thank you.
I'm hopeful that there will be more races. I'm not sure if they're going to be here in California, but I think Indiana has, had a number of these. It's cool to see that our neighbors
Your
to
home
the
state,
north, yeah, Colorado.
Colorado.
That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we had
we were
two
just
agency
talking to
members.
Seth
Yeah.
2 weeks ago. I guess it's already been 2 weeks, but
Mhm.
about the Pikes Peak Marathon and him, coming out victorious on the Pikes Peak Marathon. So I think hopefully, slowly but surely, because we all miss it. We all miss towing
Yeah.
that line.
I
We all
got
miss being out there. But
ironic that today, I fielded a couple of questions when I was running with some friends yesterday. Becky Hernandez Sosa completed the 21 miler of the Big Sur, the Big
Right.
Surreal,
Right.
and Maria Mendoza was at her side, and a
Right.
couple of team members went out to finish up the last couple of miles with them. And then the topic came up about rock and roll and the rock and roll series. What was happening with the San Jose Rock and Roll Half
'Cause
Marathon.
they canceled all of next year. They
It's
canceled all
virtual. It's
Yeah.
virtual for this year.
For this
That was
year.
confirmed, and then they're coming back. I think the second and third of October 2021.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
and that will be playing a role in the virtual event rollout. I'll be speaking with them later this week to see how that shapes up. But yeah, we talking about virtual events. Our friends with Run Local, the Silicon Valley Half Marathon.
That's right. That's
We're
right.
we're doing the training for them, and now in taper mode as that event window is the 18th of September through the 27th. So if you haven't had a chance to sign up for the Silicon Valley Half Marathon, please do. Great event, 5K in there as well. So yeah, so there are events happening.
Yeah.
There are events happening with some great event producers as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks for joining me on this podcast. Don't want to keep it too long since it's our first one and, get it out there. But I think we're going to try to make this a regular once or twice a week thing, or we have a topic
Cool.
and something
Yes.
on. And so our question of the day, our question for you folks down in the comments, are you signed up for a race in 2020? A real race. And if you are signed up for a race and they hold it live, would you attend it? So let us know in the comments below if you're signed up for something and which race it is, and if you are still planning on attending a live race here in 2020. And with that, I want to say thank you to B, Coach
Hey, my
B.
pleasure. Always my pleasure, man. Always.
And we'll catch you guys again soon.